When I first saw Valentina Gomez announce that she's running for Congress, declaring that she's doing it to kick the dirty Muslims out of Texas, I felt something tighten in the air. Not fear, not even surprise, more like recognition. Because the only thing truly American about Valentina is that she discovered that hate buys attention. And she decided to cash in. I want to talk about this not just as a Muslim woman, but as an American woman who was born and raised here. I was born to 2 US citizens. I was born in New Jersey. I grew up in New Jersey. I went to the same elementary school, middle school, junior high, and high school as my mom. I went to my mom's dream school, the State School of New Jersey. I grew up in strip malls, eating bagels and the best pizza on the planet. I speak Italian because I grew up with so many of them. I am someone who has far more roots in this country than the opportunists who weaponize their immigration story to pull the ladder up behind them. Because what Valentina Gomez is doing isn't simply ugly rhetoric. It's a strategic performance. It's a bid for power made by pretending to be more American than the very people that she's standing on. Welcome back to Amani On Air. For those of you who don't know who Valentina Gomez is, lucky you. She just announced that she's running for Congress in Texas. Here is a little introduction into who Valentina Gomez is.
Vote for me so we can kick every dirty Muslim out of Texas, save your daughters from getting by Mohammed, and protect our soldiers from getting murdered in broad daylight.
If she looks familiar to you, then you might remember her from this viral video in which she took a blowtorch to the Quran.
America is a Christian nation, so those terrorist Muslims to any of the 57 Muslim nations.
I gotta give it to her, the girl knows her marketing. Let's start with this idea that Valentina Gomez is selling. That Muslims don't belong here, that we're foreign intruders. Very 2001, obviously, very outdated, but I digress. So I grew up in the public school system, okay? My childhood unfolded in the same suburbs, on the same playgrounds, in the same malls and movie theaters as every other kid. I've lived every chapter of American life, especially post 9/11, right alongside the very people that Valentina thinks she can convince to fear me. Meanwhile, Valentina Gomez, an immigrant herself, is acting out a fantasy where she's earned ownership over this country by parroting the prejudices of the people she's desperate for approval from. She's actually decided assimilation means erasing who she is and mirroring the people that are the most hostile to her own origins. But here's the funniest and the most ridiculous part, okay? She's exactly who the far-right voters that she's catering to claim to hate the most. She's an immigrant, pretending to be an American, milking American opportunity, and exploiting the very country that she benefits from. She thinks she can move here, wave around a rifle, try to flatten out her accent, and win over the same people who very openly don't want her kind here. And I have to wonder, is this the same sickness as the immigrants who voted for Trump only to get deported by him? You see, Valentina is the Joker in the King's Court, dancing for the powerful, and she doesn't even realize that she's the joke. You don't become American by hating who you are, Valentina. You don't become American by acting superior to the immigrants that you come from, and you definitely don't become American by attacking actual, real Americans because you think that bullying them for their religion will buy your acceptance. If Valentina had actually grown up here, she would have learned this about bullies in elementary school. Valentina, you don't need a congressional seat. You need therapy. Here's the thing. Anti-Muslim rhetoric has always been a pressure point in American politics. It's easy, it's lazy, and it's historically deadly. So when a candidate says, kick the dirty Muslims out of Texas, she isn't speaking policy, okay? She's speaking in code. She's telling a very particular audience, I see your fear, I'll exploit it, and in return, you'll give me your vote. And the funny part is that the actual slur that Trump ran his election on is dirty Mexicans. Valentina can't touch that one, obviously. And she must know that once politicians normalize language like this, violence is never far behind. So her entire platform tells Americans already everything they need to know about Valentina the Colombian. She's not trustworthy, she's not principled, and she's already this spineless of a sellout before she even gets a seat. Like, she's not even bought out by AIPAC and she's shilling like this. Like, that's a talent in and of itself, honestly. There's something profoundly ironic about an immigrant yelling at other immigrants to go back to where they came from. Americans are laughing at you. Muslims have been part of this country since before it was even a country. Many enslaved Africans that quite literally built this country were Muslims. Many of us were born here. Many of our families have been here for generations. Just a few weeks ago, the Dearborn City Council heard a testimony from a white Muslim woman whose family had been there for literal centuries, okay? Like, her family actually built their town in Michigan. We do not become less American because of our faith. Valentina will never become more American simply by attacking Muslims. In this country, belonging is not something you can fake. We can literally smell it on you, Valentina. The bottom line is this. Candidates only say things this vile when they want to distract the public from their lack of ideas. If you have no economic plan, blame the Muslims. If you have no education platform, blame the Muslims. If you have no solutions for any of the social issues in your state, blame the Muslims. Come on, we all know this play. It's just political misdirection, right? If I point at those people long enough, then you won't look at me too closely. She genuinely thinks Americans are stupid. So let me make something very clear. I am a Muslim woman. I was born here. I have far more claim here than someone like Valentina. You're either part of American culture or you're not. And I'm very protective of the America I grew up in. So when I see an outsider like Valentina come here, entitled to our jobs, ungrateful for the life that she's been given, an opportunist for real power over real Americans, and coming here to stir up chaos in our beautiful cities, well then, I gotta agree with her. Valentina needs to be deported. All right, fine. But in all seriousness, here's the real truth. America is as much mine as it is hers. People like Valentina Gomez don't get to define who belongs in this country. They don't get to rewrite history. They don't get to weaponize their identity against others who walk a similar path or others who don't. I mean, if Islamophobia is literally all she's got, like, Habibti, this is not 2001 anymore, okay? Islamophobia is simply not enough to win in America anymore. She's already shown us she's unfit to lead, unfit to represent, and doesn't even understand American society enough to know how lame and embarrassing she is. And every time rhetoric like hers surfaces, people like me will speak because this is our country. This person said, "Why should Valentina get deported?" You racist. Clearly missed the point on that one. This person said, "But she's Christian and USA was founded by Christians, not fucking dirty Muslims." Actually, Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers, was well known for having a Quran in his personal library. And if you actually study Sharia law, like actually study it and not the crazy hyperbole and propaganda that you like to read about on X, then you would know that the US Constitution is actually perfectly in line with the Islamic legal system. And most importantly, America does not have an official religion. We went over this in a previous episode. It doesn't have an official religion. It doesn't have an official language because by design, the people who founded this country wanted it to be a melting pot of immigrants because guess what? The founding fathers were immigrants themselves. This person said, ethnically, she's of European stock, so she takes priority over you. What the hell does that even mean? Americans, Europeans are far too comfortable in their historic dominance of like defining history and definitions and borders and boundaries on their terms because There was another clip from last week's episode that went viral on X. If you guys saw, it was the clip when I spoke about the fact that Oxford did not allow women to earn degrees until this past century. I tweeted that clip reminding people that the first university in history was founded by a Muslim woman. Very well cited fact. And the way this pissed people off, okay, like it triggered people, especially the Europeans. They were like, universities are a European invention, okay? And what their main argument was the definition, this very specific definition of what a university is, okay, can only apply to this year in Italy at this time. And it's so funny because this one particular person that was like really riled up kept on trying to make all these like pseudo intellectual arguments saying that what Fatima founded was a madrasa. It was a madrasa. It's not a university, okay? It was a madrasa. And saying that it was like a place to learn religion, didn't count as a university. Like, hello. What do you think Oxford University was founded as? Oxford University was literally a monastery. Oxford University was founded by a cardinal that wanted to create a place for people to just study Christianity, okay? And then it evolved into the university that it is today. But the funniest part is that madrasa, is just the Arabic word for school. Like, that's it. That's all it means. And the way that the West has like taken this basic word, it's like, imagine if you go to a Middle Eastern country and you sit in on like one of their conversations and they're like, you guys, they never had universities in Europe, okay? They had a thing back then called schools. They weren't universities, they were schools. Can you believe it? Like, that's how ridiculous this man sounded. And he was throwing around the fact that he has a degree in medieval history and yet sounds stupid to anyone with a basic understanding of not even Middle Eastern history, like just the Middle East in general. It's like this combination of mansplaining, Westsplaining. It's just really funny to me. Eurocentrism is a real disease, people. Now for my favorite segment of the week, Gaslight of the Week. This week's Gaslight of the Week goes toward the Department of War, because apparently they tried to coerce the press to sign a new agreement in order to be able to cover the Pentagon. And when mainstream media refused, we're literally living in Orwellian times, people. Like, we have a Department of War now. Hey, I mean, at least they're being honest, right? So basically, they replaced the entire press corps with right-wing influencers. I kid you not. Like, the best that the Pentagon press corps has to offer now is Laura Loomer and Matt Gaetz. America is cooked, okay? But the funniest part, and why this earned Gaslight of the Week, is because each one of these literal influencers took turns posting these pictures from the same desk in the same building, saying, this is my desk now, and being really pompous about it, like trying to brag and show off as if they literally have convinced themselves that they're real journalists and that they have taken over the desks of mainstream media. Now, don't get me wrong, F mainstream media. But for these influencers, should we even call them influencers? I don't even know, like right-wing mouthpieces, stenographers, to actually try to convince themselves to actually believe or try to like portray themselves that they're real journalists is hilarious, okay? Especially because this is the agreement that they all had to sign. Ryan Grimm from Dropsite News pointed this out. So the agreement literally says that they promise only to solicit information from approved government sources, not to speak to sources who aren't explicitly authorized to speak with them, and to not even post on social media that they're interested in getting tips. So they're basically like for free doing free PR for the Trump administration, pretty much. So there's that. That's what we have for this week. Let me know who I should take down for next week's episode, because this was kind of fun. See you in the next episode.